I just got confronted in the break room about my facial hair. What petty and stupid acts of dominance have you all encountered at work? Back in the days of my youth, I worked as a construction laborer, usually on a concrete crew. I had collar-length hair and a very full beard and stash. Once, a very redneck iron worker was hired to do the rebar and standard work. He constantly berated my hairy appearance, calling me a long-haired hippie freak, freaking useless pot smoker, etc. I would just smile at him and stay silent, which would just pee him off and ramp up his name calling and rants. When it became time to put down the concrete in an industrial building for the unloading of heavy equipment, 10 feet long rails had to be placed to strengthen and protect the floor. They weighed 330 pounds apiece. My boss thought it would be great for the contract specified composite crew of a laborer and iron worker to consist of the two of us. I went to one end of the first rail, and the redneck went to the other. We started lifting together. He promptly tossed his end back down and proclaimed, "That's too heavy for me to lift with that hippie." Well, this upset me, because I had expended energy for no reason at all, since the rail was not yet in place. After gently setting my end of the rail down, I walked over to the center of the rail, picked it up and carried it over to where it was to be placed and set it down on the supports it was to rest on. I turned to the redneck and said, "Your turn, butthole." He quietly walked over to the lunch trailer, grabbed his lunch pail, got in his pickup and drove off, never to return. We then used a crane to hoist the rest of the rails into place. My back ached for a week, but I didn't care. I found a private diary of personal gripes about me that my manager wrote up, then locked in the filing cabinet. Not work related crap either, just things I did that bugged her. It was rough because it was a tiny pet food store and it would just be the two of us sitting there, with no customers for hours. And then I realize all the time she's spending in the bathroom, it's her writing crap about me. When I thought about it, she was even doing it sitting on bags of dog food next to me. I couldn't believe it. I eventually told her I knew about them and she was red paint pink in the face. Whoa, that's major craziness. But you could have gotten more out of this situation. Buy a diary that looks like hers. Start making notes about her, creepy ones how you're in love with her, etc. Let it find her. I had a boss tell me that I was working too hard and making her favorite employee look bad. What? Your numbers are through the roof. That's Bobby's job. You're fired. At one office where I worked, I noticed that the clock in the main office area was off by 14 minutes. I got a chair, got up there, and adjusted the time so that it was correct. One of the other women who didn't like me then tried to file an official complaint against me because it was the janitorial department's job to adjust the clocks, and not mine. Some people are incredibly petty and stupid. My boss told me to stop wearing ties because it made me look too professional. I owned maybe 3 ties. I now own about 50 and made sure to cycle them appropriately. Now I wear whatever the heck tie I want. I don't even like ties. Joke's on you. This was actually a clever trick to make you continue to wear many ties and look more professional. As a software developer, I once got hired into a shop as a fixer, the one who brings projects back on track. First red flag was that the team had 3 times as many database administrators as IT workers of any other discipline. So I get to the end of my first month there, and I'd automated about half of the tasks being done by the database team. I submit a status report, and am called into an early morning meeting by the project manager, who proceeds to flip her crap. Proper screaming, hairstyle coming undone, waving wads of paper at me, freak out. The exchange culminates with her screaming, "You're not respecting the database. Respect the database, respect the database." I turned to the manager for the shop and said, "This is why you're over budget." I got canned before the next month was out. Turns out that he and she were a thing. Sounds like a line that Alex would say. P. At the pizza place I worked at in high school, we had a bunch of reusable plastic cups for free soda or water throughout our shift. I had my own orange cup with my name sharpied on it. One of my co-workers always used my cup. I don't think I ever saw him use a different cup when we were both there. A couple times I'd steal it back, wash it, and use it, but sometime he would steal it and I didn't want to get mixed up or something and catch his cuties. Anyway, after a while I decided to just refer to him by my name. I'm a girl, he was a guy. It worked like a charm. He would get all pissy and eventually he stopped using my cup. What the frick? This is so far the creepiest one. I got called into my boss's office for putting the paper clip too close to the top of the center of the piece of paper. No one ever told me I had to keep it directly in the center. Apparently this is a very important rule. I feel bad because I've had to email people about paper clips and staples, namely, removing them. In my defense, I run the imaging machine, high-speed scanner, that does not like staples or paper clips. Considering the machine cost as much as my car, I think I'm justified. I had a boss once that was obsessed with my pants. If I wore the same pair more than once a week I would get called into his office talk about dress code. It was a government job, and the pants were always clean, never smelled bad, etc. I'm just a dude that really doesn't give a crap about having a huge wardrobe, nor the money to support it. I actually ended up quitting that job because of various alpha male bulls he'd pull. The girl I worked with provided me with 2 examples. 1. She complained to management that I didn't dress well enough. The next day I wore a tuxedo. 2. We got 2 15-minute breaks to smoke each day. I don't smoke and never took mine, but she made sure to always take hers. On the intern's last day, I brought in some cigars and we smoked them in 22 minutes. I know the exact time because she reported me. My old boss came out of the coffee shop bathroom, walked right up to me as I was making a drink, and yelled at me to go clean the bathroom immediately because it is a disgusting mess in there. I dropped what I was doing and went to the bathroom only to see that everything was in proper order except that one unopened toilet paper roll had fallen from the shelf onto the floor. Needless to say, I did not take her bulls for much longer. When I read coffee shop bathroom I was imagining the coffee shop across the street from your office, and that your boss wanted you to clean their bathroom for them. My old boss used to get furious at me because when I needed to enlarge text in Ms. Word for a small print job, maybe 10 envelopes, each with someone's first and last name on them I had to do each day, I would type the text, highlight it, and then change the font size. He demanded that I change the font size before I started typing and threatened to write me up if I didn't. I had a boss like that once. She got angry with me for right-clicking and selecting copy instead of the control hotkey. She also got angry at me for picking up the phone with the wrong hand. I worked for Starbucks for a few years in a freestanding and in a Target. I started to work for a new location after leaving Target. I usually wear white polo shirts just because I can and I think I look good in white. I started a week into my shift and this girl came up to me and told me she was the only one who wore white and nobody else can. I laughed at her and told her if she wanted me to wear only black polos she had to replace the 3 white ones I already had. I'm still waiting. My boss started berating me yesterday about how I wasn't working fast enough, was taking too long to lift the car, wasn't working hard enough, wasn't talking to anybody and how I looked like crap. This was all within about 15 minutes after I got to the shop 2 hours early because someone called off and he told, not asked, me to come in that second. I stopped, put down my impact gun, took off my safety glasses, and shouted, "Hey, manager name, why don't you go back to your freaking office, sit behind your goddamn desk and play a nice game of hide and go frick yourself and leave me alone." I have never gone off on anyone at my work and everyone had a huge WTF just happened look. My other boss started the day before. He was just behind me about to introduce himself. Yay. Not necessarily at work but related nonetheless. Today I came home from the gym to find a note my landlord left under my door that said that he was displeased with the condition of the apartment. The clutter must be taken care of before the end of the lease or else a significant portion of the security deposit will be withheld, which is fine to check on the condition of the place, but the clutter he's talking about is the boxes of my crap that I'm organizing before I move out 3 weeks from now. Does he think I plan on leaving my belongings in his crappy apartment? Oh, landlords and landladies can be such morons. When I was going to the university, I had a landlady who refused to return the security deposit at the end of my lease, so I had to deal with her through small claims court. I won. There's this really coked out crazy 50-year-old lady who works in the same building with me. She hates me. Whenever she sees that I'm in a conversation with someone, she totally butts in and starts talking to the other person as if I was never there. It's super aggressive and obvious she's trying to edge me out. Everyone gets weirded out by this. TL or doctor. Drug addicts make stuff up in their heads and then think they're slick. There's a bee at my work that does the same thing to me. She's always got to be center of attention. However, she's not coked out, just a sober bee. I once had the manager of the office I work at complain about how my pants swished too loudly when I move around and how that was interrupting interviews behind closed doors. Oh, and according to her, I stomp around like an elephant. I wore heavy work boots, so it does make a bit of sound. However, another staff in the same office literally shakes the complex when he walks. I'm not even joking. The walls and crap vibrate with each step he took. And he has never gotten a complaint from her. I just chalked it up to she's bitter that she can't kick me or the project I'm affiliated with out of the office. After I got out of the army in 1972, the first work that I got was as a laborer in a smelter. The wheels were coming in from headquarters to do an on-site inspection. I hadn't shaved or gotten a haircut for 2 months. The foreman lined up the laborers and told each one what he wanted changed about their appearance before the wheels showed up. I was the last. Everyone else had agreed. I told the foreman that the job might go, but the hair and the beard stayed and that I didn't ever want to hear about it again. When the wheels showed up, no one had gotten haircuts or shaves or fresh working clothes or new safety boots. They loaded all of us on trucks and took us and hid us at a deserted building for 2 working days. I bet they made you the president of the aforementioned bearded man club after that. There are 2 people who don't usually get along in the kitchen where I work. They are my manager Reed and a co-worker Jim. Jim has been with the store for about 15 years, while the manager has only been around for a few months. Jim also used to own his own deli, and at 73 he can be a grumbly old man about doing things his way, usually the right way. Reed's an butthole, and he loves power. It's strange that he'd work in a rinky-dink small backwoods town grocery store kitchen if he likes being in charge so much, but whatever. One day, Reed goes off crazier than usual. He says Jim can't teach any of the newer employees how to make food because it undermines his authority. The kicker is Reed got sent to a few other stores in the area, all owned by one guy, but they're all still in the middle of bumfrick nowhere, so he's not there to teach anybody his way. One day, Reed goes off crazier than usual. Now, Jim doesn't like that. Not one bit. This one just happened to me today at work out of the blue. I was working with my 2 female co-workers. I am also female. One of them, a larger girl, is trying to lose weight for her wedding in a few months. We're chatting about diet, how much she's lost, etc. And I ask what size she wants to be ultimately. She says her choice size, 12. And I offhandedly say, oh, that's my size now. We keep chatting, only to suddenly be interrupted by the other co-worker, who looks at me and says, "You're not a size 12, and laughs. I look at her a bit awkwardly and say, I am. That's my size, she says. Oh, honestly, you look much bigger than that. I don't think you're a size 12. The bride-to-be and I look at each other, a bit stunned, and neither of us knew how to respond. So the conversation just ended. I have yet to understand female power play, and honestly being halfway through my 20s, I doubt I'm going to catch on anytime soon. When I was 16 I worked at a private law firm, and we had this anonymous IM thing where we could talk to our co-workers anonymously, mainly used for criticizing other people's behavior around the office without making it everyone's problem. Once I got an IM saying something along the lines of, "I'm going to be frank here. You're a very beautiful girl, you're very young, and many people at the office are getting uncomfortable with the way you look. Try to look older. We don't want any pedophile feelings running around this office." I was scared shitless. Whoever it was told me to not open my eyes so wide because they make me look young and to maybe do something with my hair so it wouldn't look like I came to work after having sex. And I should tone down my smile. I wouldn't say my eyes are huge. My hair is hard to maintain. And I just have bigger than usual teeth. An hour later, it also told me to wear heels because I looked too small. I ended up always coming to work the next few days with my hair pinned up, no makeup on, and constantly squinting. Then I got more messages telling me I looked unattractive and I should get better habits. It was weird there. I just spent most of my time in the filing room because everyone creeped me out. LOL, I would love it if my office had something like that. Would mess with people constantly, though we have ping pong so I can't complain. I got back from deployment a while ago, and all my uniforms had some flaw, a rip, stain, etc. So I bought a new one. I was told to not wear it anymore because it made me stand out and I clearly wanted attention. What? This may be petty but it pisses me off to this day. I used to work at KFC and oftentimes handled the drive-thru. Well, during the summertime on hot days, people would obviously want water with their food or just sometimes pull up and ask for a cup of water. It didn't happen too often so no one really cared. Until my owner's adult son, who was learning the ropes at the time, decided we were going to charge for water. Of course, drive-thru customers demanded to know why they had to pay for water when it was free before and the McDonald's across the street gave it for free. After a few days of this going on, the owner's son happens to drop by. I'm currently on the drive-thru calmly telling an enraged customer that we had changed our policy, when the son walks up to the window and hands out a cup of water while saying that we always need to give the customer what they want. Not petty at all. That's complete balls. It irritates me to no freaking end when someone wants you to enforce something, then makes the exception themselves. I was playing on our company baseball team and my boss coach kept telling me to shave my sideburns. I don't have any sideburns. At least you didn't wind up with gigantism. One of my co-workers was promoted as a training manager to teach some new employees the ropes. Immediately, her persona changed and she started looking for opportunities to exercise her authority. One day, I missed our break because I was on the phone with a client. I then took my break at my desk playing a game on my phone. All of this is completely okay. When she saw this, she berated me and told me to put the phone away. I explained the situation to her and went back to playing. She then reaches over my shoulder and grabs my phone. I tightened my grip, refusing to surrender my device, turned towards her and calmly told her to go tell Jim, GM owner, that I told you to go frick yourself. She didn't. Jim gave me a mild scolding and 2 hours off to cool down. I was calm, calmer than she was, and promptly demoted her back to her old position. Felt pretty good. I work at my college's cafeteria and there's always something petty going on with everyone at this damned place. My favorite by far has to be the time I was called into a meeting with 2 bosses. I go in and they say there's some serious business to take care of. We go into an office and they tell me that I was reported missing from my workstation, washing pots, for an extended period of time at so and so time. Thinking back, I realized that I had gone to take a pee. I tell them so and they continue to question me about my bathroom time for another 5ish minutes. By the end, I straight up blurted out to both of my bosses, I can only go number 1 so fast. Surprisingly, I have yet to be fired. I worked for a hotel. I had this manager in the catering department who always liked having us set up a room only to have it rearranged in some way. Usually stupid because the room setups were typically agreed upon with the salesperson's clients. The salespeople would see the setup and then make us reset the room. This manager also frequently got on my case for wearing a thin, long-sleeved shirt and a my work polo to hide the grotesque psoriasis I had on my elbows when working with people's food. She would point it out in a condescending, faux polite manner. So I talked to other managers who told me they didn't have an issue with it. These exchanges would occur only when she was around. And one time she handed me a disposable razor and a bar of soap with the instructions to remove my beard, which I kept well trimmed, and sideburns or else she would send me home. After I shaved she sent me home anyway because I didn't do a satisfactory job shaving in total Steinbrenner fashion. Dude, you broke beard law. You can't just go somewhere willy-nilly and outbeard someone. Who do you think you are? claiming the beard throne without challenging the current beard king. Hurry and apologize to the alpha beard. If he's gracious, he'll forgive you and let you take part in a ceremonial beard rub. Shame on you. Shame on you, beard. You know what that means, dude. His perception is that your beard is better. If he pulled it off better, he would not be threatened by it. Victory. When I worked at a print shop, I had a boss who told us we literally could not take a crap in the bathroom at work. She didn't want to smell it, and even if she couldn't smell it, she didn't want to sit on a toilet that other people had pooped in. She also told us any tips or gratuities we received had to be given to her, because we earned them on her time, so they were hers to keep or distribute as she saw fit. You should have taken a crap in the sink and said you don't have to sit on the toilet I crap in when she complains. One guy at work, when he is in a bad mood, likes to take it out on me. He singles me out and tells me how antisocial I am because I have trouble joking around with people I work with. I just can't do it, and people are told not to talk to me etc at work. It makes things difficult. I hate being told how screwed up I am. I find it hard to talk to people. I'm better than I was, but I just have problems with it. Being completely alone for nearly 19 years and having no friends or anyone to talk to does that. I just don't like people pointing it out. Yes, it's there. I can't help it, and I'm very slowly fixing it. Not me, but a co-worker of mine gets asked by another co-worker to call maintenance for her every time she clogs the toilet. So my one co-worker called the maintenance department to see if we could get a plunger placed permanently in the bathroom stall that is used by said clogger. Like, plunge your own crap. OP should follow his co-worker home, wait outside his house until he goes to sleep, and then sneak in and shave off his beard. Then glue it back on with water-soluble glue so it all falls off when he takes a shower. This is clearly the only way to properly defuse the situation. Old boss, maybe 2 years older than me, when I worked at a pizza shop. He wasn't manager or assistant manager, but was the main evening shift lead. He was a real power tripper, and one night I initiated breaking down the cold tables without being asked by taking the trays, where you'd slide spilled food, into the back to wash them and set them up to dry. The convo went like this. Him: I didn't tell you to break those down. Me: it's okay. It's 7:45 so I got started. Him: I didn't tell you to break those down. Put them back now. Me: seriously? We always break them down at 7:45. Him: I don't care. Put them back immediately. So then I had to take them back out, set them up. He deliberately got them all filthy, then told me to break them down. I work as a cashier at a grocery store. I have medium-ish hair, so every once in a while it gets in my face or covers my eyes. Naturally, I flip it out of the way to avoid touching my hair and then the customer's food. The front-end manager then tells me to stop flipping my hair and gives no actual reason to do so. Passive-aggressively, I decide to leave it dangle the rest of my shift and stare down the front-end manager. Now that I type this all out, it really doesn't seem as big of a deal as it did then, but I hate my front-end manager anyways. Frick that guy. My manager takes every opportunity to chastise us in front of customers. Once we had a customer come in and asked if a job was finished. My manager asked me if it was done, saying it in a way that made it sound like he had previously told me I needed to get it done. I said no, haven't heard anything about it. He proceeds to tell the customer that he's sick of how lazy we are and how he is thinking of getting a whole new crew. That's when the customer suddenly realized he was in the wrong print shop. Frick my manager. Can't wait to see the look on his face when I quit next week. With no motherfucking 2-week notice. I had an encounter in the break room as well. 2 guys insinuated that drinking tea was for women while I collected hot water from the coffee maker. I can take stupid crap like that though, because tea is amazing. I work with an older woman, probably late 50s, in the produce department of a local grocery store. She is friendly at times, but has a habit of saying if you do random task like this, and shows people how to do things different ways. She always tells me I stack the plums too high, but I am quite confident that there is no real issue, as my manager has no problem with my fruit displaying ability. She has started to take plums back into the cooler after I put them on the shelf and will constantly read the little jobs I've already done, just because she thinks she can do it better. She also likes to complain about me to my co-workers, who later relay her complaints to me and reassure me that I am doing nothing wrong. She just feels the need to correct me as if she has to establish that she is of higher rank than me because she's older. When I worked in a supermarket, I had what's called a team leader, basically the manager of the punes. That is, me, but not a proper manager. Anyway, he comes up to me, tells me to stop what I'm doing and go help someone else with their job. At this point I was halfway through doing my job that has to be done. My job was to check all shelves in the fresh section, pretty much anything chilled, for stuff that was gone out of date. I told him I wasn't finished with my job and that it obviously had to get done, and he goes off on one about how I'm disrespecting him and that restocking the vegetable section was more important. Just for the people who don't know, if people buy out of date stuff and get ill from it, we're liable. It got to the point where he was almost screaming at me for refusing to drop my tasks, and then the actual manager came over and was understandably like, what the frick is going on? Shouty MC Shouterson starts off on one to him too and gets told to shut the heck up. I'm asked what happened. I explain calmly and then ask what should I do. You should do your job, of course. Yours is more important than restocking. Dang straight. Guy got fired about 3 weeks later for having a shouting match with another employee who wouldn't do that, he said. Guy was dumb as absolute frick and thought he was Big King Supermarket or some crap. Frickin' W. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.